This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, everybody, to our October town hall. And I'm just trying to figure out why you guys, what's going on with the screen. Can you see my screen?
It says Team GOGI for Life Town Hall. And it
does. Okay, how weird. I can't see the screen. It's not showing up on my version. Okay. All right, no worries. All right, so thank you, everybody. This is our October town hall, and we have our speaker for this month is peer coach Stephen Schrader, who is here to give us his GOGI testimony. Let us know, what got him inside, how he found GOGI, how it's helped him, and what his plans are now that he's out as far as GOGI is concerned. So welcome, Stephen. We've kind of, we've talked to you quite a bit since you've been out. So, but we've only little bits, so we don't really know your full story. So whatever you're comfortable telling us would be greatly appreciated. So I'm going to go ahead and just ask you a couple questions and then just let you run with it. I know we talked before about you being inside 24 years. So what was the date? What date did you go into prison?
October 15th, 1994.
1994, okay. It's interesting. Between 94 and 96, there's a lot of lifers I know that went in during those times that have gotten out. So that there's like that right about that mark there of years that it seems like the average lifer is serving before they get out, which is kind of nice. I know we can't rely on that. Everybody's different, but it seems like right about that 22 to 25 year mark, people are getting out, which is nice. So why don't you go ahead and just give us a little bit about what got you in, and then just give us your GOGI testimony.
Okay. Well, what got me in was just some really poor decision making.
Okay.
For years and years prior to my actually being arrested. And it was a downward spiral from, I was someone who had a great job and a great career and a family and just made some really poor decisions in my life, which included a lot of drugs and drinking, and found myself sitting in county jail in Calaveras County one day for being accused of murder. So, it just went completely wrong for like 3 years, and I ended up in prison. So,
okay.
The early years that I was in prison, from 94 until, actually for about half of the time I was in, from 94 until well into the early 2000s, there really wasn't a whole lot of self-help. They had AA and NA, and each prison had like their own version of some sort of victims awareness group. Some of them were called Impact. They were just called victim awareness. There were different names for them, but they were basically just CDCR run or church run groups to where either victims of crime would come in and talk, or staff members would just give these classes on how our decisions had impacted not only our victims but the entire public. So
did they have Gangs Anonymous back then?
They did not. That's a fairly new group. So it was about the mid 2000s, probably 2004, 2005, that a lot of guys inside, we just kind of were like, this parole board keeps telling us to go to process groups, get help, self-help, and at the time the only other option was you could go to mental health and ask for one-on-one counseling. And the problem with that is you had to become what was called triple CMS, which is a program that CDCR runs for people who need to be on some sort of medication. And at the time, nobody wanted to do that because if you went to the parole board and you were on triple CMS, they were going to assume that there was something seriously wrong with you. There's no chance you're ever getting a date. In case you're hearing that, there's a helicopter flying overhead once again looking for some sort of criminal that's on the run. It's a common occurrence in South Central, like 2-3 times a day. So I've become used to it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, welcome to South Central.
Yeah, so exactly. So yeah, welcome to my hell. So we not just at the prison I was at, which was CTF Soledad, but at a lot of other prisons, guys inside like myself, and decided that if we wanted to better ourselves and to really put the board on the parole board on blast for asking us to do things that weren't available, we need to make them available so that we could get into because at the time the parole board wasn't giving parole dates. It didn't matter what you could save 10 people's lives and you weren't going to get a parole date. So, but the idea was that we would basically throw it back in their face that look, we're doing everything that you're asking us to do. So now what? And then get it into court, and eventually the courts would help us, to set some guidelines for the board. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why people like me are getting out today, because we fought so hard to get the courts to rule against the board and rule against the governor in denying us for reasons that were unchangeable, like that our crime was committed some 20 years prior when we had changed. So
good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it really was an inmate driven call to arms to, we wanted to get out. We wanted to show that we could change, we could rehabilitate. And at different times during from about 2005 till now, CDCR has, jumped on the bandwagon, tried to get involved, tried to take, control of and responsibility for and more importantly, get all the kudos for these groups when they quite honestly had nothing to do with it. And as Tamara can tell you, because she's going through it right now, they actually try and make it harder and harder to get. You have to do surveys to get grants. They make it really difficult. So there became a whole bunch of groups within prison that were geared towards preparing guys for parole board, dealing with family violence, dealing with victims awareness, dealing with anger, just all sorts of things that were just grassroots groups, began by guys like myself who went to college and learned some of this stuff and then tried to pass it on. And eventually what happened was guys would write to different organizations on the outside, like the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and get actual federal programs, get the paperwork and permission to use them. And it became really great. And now I don't know about other prisons, but I know at Soledad, at CTF Soledad, at least on the Central Yard, Monday through Friday, you'll find groups being held at 12 noon, at 3 in the afternoon, from 4 to 6 during count, from 6 to 8. Guys willingly missing their dinner in order to go to self-help groups. It's become fantastic. It's amazing what you'll see. And for that reason, I can tell you that many of us, not all, but many of us that are released are in a lot of ways better equipped to deal with sort of stuff that goes on out here in society than people who have never been to prison. It's really kind of amazing. We kind of have one up on some of you because we've had the opportunity to be in a place that is so bad, and being told that we're scum of the earth for so long, and develop these groups and work so hard to improve ourselves and to look within ourselves for those flaws, that we actually have a little advantage. So what happened next is that
wait, Stephen, let me I'm sorry, let me just interrupt you. Let me ask you this. Because I know it's very interesting to those of us with men inside to kind of hear, like, when was your first parole? What was the first time you went up for parole?
Okay, so I went to my first parole hearing in 2006, and at that time nobody was getting parole dates, and I was given a 4-year denial. At that time you could only get up to a 5-year denial, but to give you a 5-year denial, you had to have done something heinous in prison. You had to have been involved in like a fight or a riot, something that involved great bodily injury to get a 5, or really serious like drug charges, like trafficking in prison. So I got the highest denial you could get.
Okay, so that's 4. So that's 4 years, and that was when?
That was in 2006. So I'm gonna quickly run down what happened with all of my hearings. So I filed a writ in my county court, and it was granted, and I was sent back to the board 2 years later. At that time, I received a 2-year denial. That made it
4 years.
Yeah. So that 2-year denial, I again filed a writ and won it. And at that time, the judge ordered me released. He set aside the board's decision and ordered me released pending a governor's review. So the attorney general fought it, and while it was in the California Supreme Court, I had my subsequent hearing, and they denied me for 5 years, which was Marcy's Law had just come out. So that was in 2010. So the California Supreme Court ruled that the board could not order me released, but they could order me back to the board. So they set aside the 5-year denial and sent me back. I went back. I actually went to the board in October of 2010 and again in June of 2010. So when I went back in June of 2010, I was given a 1-year denial.
Okay.
Right. So
here you are.
Yeah. So yeah. So then that when I came up in 2011 for my next hearing, they postponed it because my attorney had a death in the family, and so at that time when you got a postponement, it was for a year. So I went back in August of 2012 and was granted parole. The governor reversed that decision on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve of 2012. I received a letter that the governor had reversed that decision. So I then went back in July of 2013 and was given a 3-year denial. I won an automatic review, went back a year and a half later. I was given another 3-year denial. Another automatic review, went back a year and a half later, given another 3-year denial. And another automatic review. I went back in May of this year and was granted parole and released 2 weeks ago today. So
the governor didn't pull this one.
Right. So from 2006 to 2000, from 2006 to 2018, in 12 years, I had 9 parole hearings and 2 grants of parole, and 1 was reversed. So that's my parole board history.
I'm going to ask you a couple hard questions right now.
Can I ask him something real quick before we get any further down the line?
Yeah.
You had mentioned the medication thing and how guys are scared to get into that because the state is going to think that my husband seriously needs medication, and he's deathly afraid of being put into a hospital when he does get out, and he won't be able to come home because he's on meds.
Okay, so things have changed, and now it's if someone does require some sort of psychotropic medication, it's best that they get them and stay on them. The board will look more kindly on that. They will look at that as you're trying to take care of yourself. And I can tell you for a fact that when he gets out, and he will get out, that the parole office and medical out here will make sure that he gets everything he needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So tell him, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of that. It's to his advantage.
Yeah, we both feel like he has bipolar, and it's like he'll snap. Like now that he's back in county fighting this other case, he's been snapping on people. And when he was upstate, he was fine. But it's like this whole thing is just making it come out more and more. And he's been snapping on me too lately, and it's driving me insane.
Well, something else I can suggest is for you to get him some books on mindfulness meditation, and it worked for me.
Okay.
You know, it really helps. Yeah, it really helps.
Oh, thank you.
So, who else?
Okay. Me.
Tough questions.
Okay.
Tough questions.
And if you don't want to answer them, you don't have to. But there's a lot of women that are going to be listening to this.
Yeah.
And you know, and so I want to be realistic with them.
Okay.
I don't want them to walk away and think, oh, you know, this and this and this, and if it was all of it that was unfounded, then that's fine. But I just want to make sure I ask you those questions. So when you were given the 1 year and then you went back and then given a 3 year, in any of those situations, was there cause for them to deny you 3 years? Did you have 115s? Did you get in trouble in between that time? Or was it that they would give you a 1 year, you went back in a year, and they just for no reason decided to deny you 3 more?
Well, I went 24 years without ever receiving a 115 or a 128. No disciplinary action.
Awesome.
I have two college degrees, 2 certificate programs, and had nothing but outstanding reports on my work supervisor report. So there was no.
What was their reasoning?
Right. Well, okay. So in the early, like I said, up until 2011, they were not giving out parole dates. We had Gray Davis and Arnold Schwarzenegger were just not going to give out parole dates. During Schwarzenegger in his early, like, first year and a half, a couple of guys got out, and then he started taking money from the CCPOA like all the other governors did, and dates stopped getting given out. That was it. It was the end of it. So, you know, corruption once again seeped its way into the parole process.
Completely.
So we can.
But hey.
Yeah. We can.
What
feel
was
really
the purpose of them giving? What was the purpose of giving a 1 year denial if they knew they were just going to turn around and give you another 3? It's just stupid.
It's well, no, because see, it's actually a whole part of the and it really is cruel and unusual punishment. It's a whole part of their plan to really punish
with
us.
your head.
Yeah, it's
I guess they're trying to get you to screw up so then they have a reason.
Yep.
Right.
You know?
And you know, internationally, a lot of people have looked at the way California did things, and it violates the Geneva Conventions of prisoners. It's absolutely against international law what they were doing.
So can we do anything about it, though?
Well, it's changed. You know, now we have a governor who put this whole process into motion when he signed the indeterminate sentence law in 1976, and so he's the one who started the whole thing. And now, when he came back into office, something he realized was that it wasn't working. It was absolutely wrong. He got older and realized that he was wrong. And so he's slowly reversing it all, and he's signed laws just in the last month or so that have really made it much simpler for guys to get out, especially youth offenders who were given, like, you know, a 16-year-old who, even if he wasn't given a life sentence, was given, you know, 75 years and a stacked sentence, you know. life is effectively over for him. And the governor's taken that away. He now has an opportunity after 18 years to go to the parole board and get out of prison.
Nice. So I have another question for you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, but my husband was before the age of 25 when he got sentenced to 18 years. I know that's not a long time for some, but would he be considered a youth offender because he was under the age of 25? He was 21 when he was sentenced to 18 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Does he have a violent crime?
Yeah.
Because why didn't he should have been given his youth offender. He should have been set up because the most recent law bumped it up to 25.
Right.
They
and so
it
all depends on the sentencing court. It depends on how he was sentenced. So I would if you can afford it, I would have an attorney look into it. It's definitely worth the effort to do that.
Well, with his new case, I'm gonna have his public defender, because he seems like he's an awesome lawyer. I'm gonna have him look into it, see if he'll look into it for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would. I mean, what do you have to lose? The worst case, they say no, and he has to do the 18 years. He's doing that now. So there's no lose in there. So yeah.
Sweet deal. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen. So when did you first hear about GOGI?
Okay. So as I was preparing to go to the board in 2012, which is the first time I was found suitable, a good friend of mine, Brett Haley, who I think you know, Tamara, he had. Are you
Tamara? Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Do you mean Tamara?
Tamara.
Yeah.
Do you mean it's actually Tamara? Y'all are saying it wrong.
Yeah,
whatever.
I know. I like that.
Hell.
I'm gonna start calling you Tammy. So
you know what? And that's usually what people do if they can't pronounce it.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm just busting your hump. Go ahead.
I know how to pronounce it. I'm doing it to mess with you, and it's my time to talk, not yours. So.
All right. Sorry about that, Matt Edward. Go ahead.
All right. So exactly. Well, you're going to pay for that one. So, Brett had been walking around with these like hundreds of these legal-sized sheets of paper with printing on both sides of them, and trying to pass them out to everybody to do this program that he had heard about from Cesar Zuniga called GOGI. I knew nothing about it. I asked him what it was. He'd been a friend of mine for years. I asked him what it was, and he goes, it's this program to help make better decisions, and it's just you do a bunch of writing and send it in, and she'll give you a really nice certificate. I said, oh, let me see it. So I got it from him, and it was the exact same tools that we have today, but in a different order. And it was all Coach Taylor. There was no volunteers. There was nobody really helping her out. It was her. She had a couple of people, but it was basically her doing all of the work. So what you would do is there was each tool you would work on for a week. And so each day, like Monday, you would get up and there'd be a question for Monday or 3 questions for Monday based on, let go. So you would answer those questions. You'd write at least half a page on each question. And then at the end of the week, you would mail it in for that tool. And then the next week you would start another one. So it was a 12-week program. But she didn't mind if you just sat down and did the whole thing and sent it to her. That was fine. So right after I got that sheet of paper, we ended up going on a lockdown. And so I had all this free time on my hands, and I sat in there and wrote page after page. Like, if she still had my file, she could probably check this to make sure. But I believe I sent her probably 80 or 90 handwritten, legal size front and back sheets of paper on the GOGI 12 tools. So I got my certificate, and I got it. I believe I got it in June or the end of May in 2012. My parole hearing was set for August 1st, 2012. Well, right at that time, Caesar decided to start some groups, a process group on GOGI. So I became a part of the first group. He basically took about 12 guys, Matt Edwards, Danny Partita, Matt Braden, a few other guys. I can't remember them all right now. Took them and did some training with them. They'd all done the GOGI program like I had done. But he basically trained all of them, and they decided to do a process group. So I was asked to and decided to join the first group, which Matt and Danny were my facilitators for. So during that time, Coach Taylor came to visit. Other groups had been being started in different prisons, but she decided to come visit us in Soledad, and so I met her for the first time about 2 weeks before I went to the parole board. And I walked into the parole board, and based on all of the stuff that I had learned from GOGI, at that time it was probably the second or third major group that I had done. I was found suitable. So, and they knew very little about it at the time. It was brand new. They asked me a bunch of questions about it. I was able to put it on record, what GOGI was. They were really interested in it. And so I was found suitable. So that was when I first heard about GOGI. So then I want to tell this story really quickly. I told it the other day on the way back from our group in the park. While I was waiting for my 150-day review period for the board and the governor, about 12 days before my 150th day, I was put in ad seg for a tool that was missing from my job site that was never missing. A staff member had removed it from the job site and didn't file the proper paperwork in the right place, and then went on vacation. So they took myself and Matt Edwards and the two other guys that I worked with to ADSEG, to the hole, for this missing tool, and we sat there for 12 days while they did their little investigation, and then the staff member came back and said, "Oh, no, I removed that tool." So, but the important part of the story is that Matt Edwards was in the cell next to me in ADSEG, and I was just completely distraught. I was, here I was sitting on a parole date. They weren't really giving a whole lot of them out. I'm in the hole for something I didn't do, and all I could think of was, how am I going to explain to my family that is waiting for me to come home that I lost my parole date over something like this? And I was at the end. I was about to take drastic measures when Matt Edwards sat in the cell next to me and kept yelling at me, "Belly breathe, be the boss of your brain, have your positive thoughts," just all the GOGI tools, and just kept, even though I wouldn't respond to him and wouldn't talk to him at all, he would tell me, "I can hear you breathing over there. I know you're okay. I know you're going to make it. Use your tools, use them." So Matt and GOGI helped me get through that period. And coincidentally, the day I got out of the hole, which was Christmas Eve, was the day I got notified that my date was taken, and it had nothing to do with that incident. It was going to get taken anyway. So,
Stephen, tell them what you told me.
What do you mean?
Tell them what you told me. That.
Oh, I literally had already rolled up the sheets and was going to hang myself. It was a done deal. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. And it's just, so it's like Matt and GOGI saved your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Governor took your date, so it would have been all for nothing anyways, right?
Right.
But it's like sometimes things happen, and it obviously makes us stronger, but it also makes us look at things maybe a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you went through like that horrible situation, and I would think that out of it, you were able to get something positive out of it. More endurance, more strength, a little bit of hindsight, a little bit of, okay, all right, so if I would have done this, it would have been for nothing, a little bit of something. So going from that point forward, go ahead and tell us the rest until you got out, what you did with GOGI and everything.
Okay, so when I got out, I was asked if I wanted to be a facilitator in GOGI, and I did. I was already facilitating a couple of other groups, so yeah. So I started out working actually with Matt. Matt and I worked together. He sort of trained me in facilitating GOGI, and at that time we had, we would run I think 8, 10 to 12 person groups in our gymnasium with 2 facilitators in each group, and we had basically the green. It's similar to your pink book. It's the exact same book, only it's for men. It's the green How to GOGI book. And we would just, go through and read the different sections of the book and have discussions on it, on, how it's helping people and how they can use it in their lives. And it progressed from there to the first iteration of her workbook. And through, I believe we're on the 3rd one now, the 3rd different iteration of the workbook. And it got to where just prior to my leaving Soledad, Coach Taylor paid me a personal visit, and I was asked to reestablish GOGI at Soledad to get groups back going again. It had been sort of stopped for about 8 months, and she came and asked me if I would do that. And so I she had some people that she handpicked. I had some people that I handpicked to be the new GOGI leaders, and I was the mentor for the group. And we basically used this new GOGI workbook and the new leadership books. And when I left, they were 5 weeks into their program, and it seemed to be going pretty strong. There's a few setbacks. We talked a little bit about how a couple of the members are maybe struggling a little bit still, but it seems to be going well. I actually got a report just a couple of days ago that it's still up and running and going strong.
When did the prison book come out, the blue book for you guys? Because that was the men's book.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was probably, I want to say 2014. I'm not looking.
Okay, and this was pretty much the men's book, right?
I'm looking at.
Are you looking at my screen?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, whoa, wait a minute. No, I've never seen that book.
Oh, so I think this was before. I'm trying to remember, because this is basically was the men's version of the pink book, of the women in prison, which was the first book. This one was for men.
Yeah, we weren't using this book. We were using the How to GOGI book, the book that was written for the LA County Jail. That's what we had.
So is it the one that
the very first publication that she had? The very first.
Oh, really? So it's not, but it's not the same as the How to GOGI book we have now, right?
It's just the same book, and then we also
it is the same book. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
this one. Okay.
I
have. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah,
I don't know why it's acting stupid, but.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Okay, cool. So that you guys had that one, and that's the first book, the How to GOGI, right?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was written for LA County Jail. There was a pink version for the ladies' side and a green version for the men's side.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. That's what we had.
Okay, so go ahead.
And then about 2000, I want to say like mid 2013, she started with the workbooks, and she came and gave us those, and we started using those in the group. I'm not sure we were doing it correctly, but we did use them. And then in 2014, she came and visited. I think it was 2014, might have been 2015. She came with a film crew and brought the next version of it, which also included like there was individual books for each section of tools. So you had a book for tools of choice. You had a book for tools of the body. You had different books for each one of those. And she also had like an anger management book with her and some other stuff. So there's been quite a few different books along the way, and we've used them all. And the important thing is that over the course of the years that I was in Soledad, after GOGI, I was amazed at how I would be on the yard and I would see like maybe somebody getting frustrated in front of the canteen because somebody had cut in front of them and starting to lose it, and somebody would yell out, hey, here's your GOGI tools. So it really became a culture. It really did.
Yeah, you know what? I think Johnny Howe told us. You know what? No, yeah. James Solis told us that first, and then Johnny Howe kind of brought that up too, which is interesting because you know how Barbara did the GOGI sign language for us, and the whole purpose of that was so if somebody was across the yard getting ready to, it looks like they were, having an issue, they would sign them what tool they were supposed to use so they weren't yelling across the yard. And I thought, so it does. It became a culture, right? I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
just like the culture we're creating within us out here, it's awesome. Okay, go ahead.
It is. So then we fast forward to my last hearing, which was in May, and and incidentally, for my 3 hearings from 2015, 2016, and 2018, I did extensive writing for the parole board. I gave them hundreds of pages of written testimony on what I had done while in prison, and a number of those pages were on GOGI. I wrote, actually typewritten, 2 to 3 pages on every single tool, and I'm not talking about just and I actually have it all with me. I brought all of that stuff out with me. I want to publish it someday. I'm not talking about just like fluff stuff on what the tools are. I'm talking about how it's made a meaningful difference in my life. And they commented on it. In fact, the commissioner said she had never seen anybody do that. And the interesting thing is now, from the first time I was found suitable, where they knew nothing about GOGI, they were questioning me about it. This last panel was asking me precise questions about GOGI as if they had read the book. So it's become a part of your parole hearing now. And I know people who hadn't been through it and came back, and I read their transcripts, and the commissioners told them, go get some GOGI before you come back.
That's exactly what they said to Ernie. That's exactly, he's the first person I interviewed. That's exactly what they said to my ex-husband's best friend, Ernie Garcia, who was from CCI. And it was actually Commissioner Richardson, who's no longer a commissioner. But when they gave him a 3-year denial, and she said, you need self-help, go to GOGI. And he went and did GOGI, and he was found suitable the next time he was up.
Right.
And that he said that's exactly, they have a very deep respect for GOGI, which is a huge thing, really big.
Absolutely.
And they will ask you, like, point blank, really detailed questions. So you got to, know your stuff. Yeah.
It's funny. Michael mentioned that to me before he came down. Well, when he first started doing GOGI, he's like, "Babe, you need to get into it." And I got into it. I found the page, and I've gotten really close to all these girls because of it. But he took off with it, and he's like, this is going to be part of the parole process. I need to get on it. And I was like, then do it. I said, we'll do it together.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why Coach put together that do you know your GOGI? You know, that 2-page, do you know your GOGI? Because out of that is some of the stuff that the parole board asks about, you know, the tools and the sections and all of that kind of stuff, the pledge and everything. So
they do, and it's important to know that they follow up with, okay, so how do you use it in your life? I want
right.
And they told me I want specific examples. Don't just tell me that you know the tools. I want specific examples of how you've used it.
Yeah.
So they know GOGI. They have taken the time to learn it to know that you're even giving the right answers.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Very cool.
So I want to now just talk a little bit about what my plan is.
Yes, please.
For the future. So now that I've been released, I have a couple of things I want to do with GOGI. Homelessness is a huge, huge issue for me. I don't understand how in the United States of America we have so many people living on the street. And being in South Central, I see it. I mean, I literally live a block away from Tent City. It's terrible. So I want to take it to the homeless. I want to take it to the homeless. I want to do that. And I also want to take it into the children's hospitals for the kids and families of kids who have debilitating cancers and diseases. And that's my goal moving forward with GOGI.
And those are two things that I haven't heard before. There's a lot of people that, you know, want to reach out to the kids, you know, and get that. And it had never occurred to me to take it to the kids and the families of the children that are dealing with, you know, this horrible disease. And I got to praise you for that, because you know what? I couldn't do it. I mean, I know my limitations and I couldn't do it, but I think it's awesome. And the homeless and I've never heard that one either. And it's, I mean, yeah, everybody needs GOGI. I mean, and those are two groups of people just like at-risk kids, you know, that really need it besides us. You know,
the thing is that, you know, I think people have a misconception of what homeless people are.
Right.
Yes, there are those people who have mental disorders, who have addiction, and even they can be helped with it, especially those with addiction. People with mental disorders, that's a whole different thing. The state needs to step in and get them into a program. But, you know, there's people there's families living on the streets who just they can't. Right, they run out of money. They're working. They actually have jobs, but cannot afford rent anywhere.
Right.
They just can't do it. So, you know, I think that it would be a big help for them, because it's you know, the thing is that for me, GOGI has been about helping me to make decisions under duress. It's you know, it's easy for people to make decisions when everything's going great in their life.
Right.
It's really, I mean, that's not a problem. It's when things aren't going so good that we have to have this help to make positive decisions that are going to benefit us and all of those around us. So, and I think for the children and families of children who are ill as well, that you know, I think it's important to give them some tools to do the same thing.
I agree.
I can put those are great, awesome ideas.
They are. They are. Oh, and Stephen is going to bring back GOGI Yoga. And Stephen, I don't know if you saw my video yesterday, but that park by my house, there is so much space for GOGI Yoga. Just saying. And he's serious. He's serious about the GOGI Yoga. I would be willing to learn GOGI Yoga. So.
I'm actually.
Okay.
I just don't want to see you in tights. I think we've already established that.
Well, you have to design the GOGI Yoga pants. It's the only way.
Monica, me and Monica are already trying to put together like GOGI fabric and stuff like that to make things. So we'll we'll make you some GOGI yoga pants that are not form fitting. How about that?
Well, they're not yoga pants if they're not form fitting.
Yeah, they gotta be close and personal.
The legs can be a little bit looser. Us women live in yoga pants. Believe me, half of us live in yoga pants, so we know what's up. But so, all right, ladies, do you have any questions for Steven?
I just had a statement that I wanted to make. I'm actually working. He mentioned the kids and that have illnesses and stuff that he wants to work with, and I have a 4-year-old little boy that like touches my heart every day because he suffers from a slight autism and severe ADHD, and he's just like out of control. So I am trying to teach him to the best of my ability the boss of my brain, belly breathing, and positive thoughts and positive actions, because he is, like I said, totally out of control, and he's so excited about Boss My Brain, because just like your granddaughter was, Tamara, and he's like positive thoughts he's taken into school, and he's telling the kids about it in school, and he's so smart, and I cannot wait to get him the rest of the tools, because I know he'll take them and run with them. So
that's awesome. And there's a time Coach broke those down, right, Stephen? You know, an age of comprehension for each 3 sets of the tools. Yeah.
Right. So now our thing is that we're going to have to write a GOGI book for kids.
Yeah.
She's doing that, and it's actually pretty close to being completed, because Keith Erickson, who is a peer coach at Pleasant Valley. I don't know if everybody saw that the picture I uploaded that said, I think it's called Bobby is Bomb or something. I think it's Bobby, but Bobby is like the main character of this children's book that is about that's about the tools. I don't know that it's about all of them. I think it might be about the first 3 tools or maybe the first 6 tools, but I know that is in the works. And my goal from the gate was to do a comic book, a GOGI comic book with each one of the tools having a superhero, and Keith is actually drawing that as well. So yeah, I mean, if we can get to the kids, I mean, when they're little, before they're, you know, while they're still innocent, you know, before people come in and just do horrible things. If we could do that, kids are motivated. They can motivate adults to make changes. Yeah. So that would be awesome.
I can't draw, but I am a writer, so.
Oh my God, you're so. We're getting to. Yes, I've got all these stories and all this ADHD crap that floats around, and I write little bits and pieces at a time. But maybe we could get together, and you can, like, you know, pull some of it out of my brain and put it on paper, and that would be really cool. Because I think like a child, anyways.
So that checks out.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions, Mon, Savina?
No, I don't have any questions.
I'm super proud of you. Super, super, super proud of you, Stephen. Like, you blown my mind tonight. I can't
Thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Yeah, you are the other end of the spectrum. It's so nice to get a well-rounded view of what people have gone through and you know, where they were in their life before, what they did while they were inside, and everything else. And as I said before, the people we've talked to, it's hard for me to imagine the old them, you know? And talking to you, it's like, forget about it. I can't even imagine the old you know, because you're well-spoken, you're educated, you know.
Like, yes. Yep.
You're a smart aleck, but, you know, that goes without saying, you know, no big deal. But, yeah, you know, so it's nice because you're able to articulate things so well. Please don't get bogged down with everyday life and not have time for GOGI. Please, Stephen. Please, Stephen.
Well, I do have to have work at some point.
Well, I know that. You know, your old pal Tamara, tomorrow is going to be here. Okay?
Yeah.
Try to reel you back in, help us out here. So, yeah.
All right.
No, but thank you so much. Thank you. Any closing thoughts? Any closing thoughts?
No, well, yeah, it's just you know, I had a really, really crappy day, and so I was just kind of looking forward to this to sort of end my day. So, yeah, it definitely helped. It wasn't really crappy. It was just kind of, you know, I didn't do anything all day. I just, like, sat around and did nothing. And,
hey, you can do that.
Oh, my God.
Time.
Yeah, that's okay. Believe me, that's okay from time to time.
It's not
enjoy it now, because you will have no time for that later, believe me. Zero.
Yeah, especially if you let Tamara take a hold of your life.
Oh, I know. Believe me.
I know, but I'm so darn cute. You just can't help it. And you feel sorry for me and my children, because you're like, how the hell was she your mother? I'm like, God, you poor things. But, no, you know what? We have all said, almost, you know, there's been so many times when Mondays come, and I know I'm sitting here going at 7 o'clock going, oh, I don't want to go to this, I don't want to do the power up. Please, Jesus, please. And then, you know, I drag my ass, and as soon as I log in, it's like totally better. You know, you're just, it's so nice. You're refreshed. You laugh, you hang up all happy and crap, and, you know. So
8 o'clock for you is 11 o'clock for me, Missy.
Okay, that's right. All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we have Coach Stephen lead us in the GOGI pledge to end our town hall? And thank you very much for being here and for talking to us and encouraging us.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. So, Rebecca, are you actually in Boston?
Yeah.
I'm on the southern tip of Massachusetts. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm on the Cape.
So you guys, so you guys are really happy right now with your Red Sox and all.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Oh, did the Dodgers lose again?
Hey.
They did. I'm sorry. I'm a Giants fan because I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm happy.
It doesn't matter. You still root for state, bro. It doesn't matter.
No,
you root for state, okay?
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Ooh.
Anyway.
No.
That is horrible. That's horrible.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yeah, after he goes and irritates us all, we all need it.
It doesn't irritate me at all. Not at all.
And just so you know, it's actually a gift that I'm able to irritate you. So.
Well, you are male, so it does happen.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we're taking back all the nice things we said about you in our group chat just now. Okay, taking all that back. Just saying.
It's been recorded, so you can't take it back.
Oh crap! No, not in our own personal group chat. We're just gonna act like it didn't happen.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. Ready? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead. We're ready.
May our commitment.
May our commitment.
To the study of GOGI.
To the study of GOGI.
Grant us the joy.
Grant us the
joy.
Of giving and receiving.
Of giving
and receiving.
So that our inner freedom.
So that our
inner freedom.
May be of maximum service.
May be of
maximum service.
To those we love.
To those we love.
And infinite others.
And infinite others.
Amen.
And just a quick correction. I was wrong on Monday when I said our next tool is going to be positive words. Since it is week 5, we will be reviewing the tools for the entire month. So I just wanted to make sure that I made that correction. Okay. All right. So let's do 1, 2, 3 GOGI for life, and Rebecca can go Mimi's. All right.
I can go
1, Mimi's. That's Spanish for go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
All right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. GOGI for life.
Thank you, Stephen.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. All right. You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
All right. Good night.
I have questions. Bye-bye, people.